Hello, Steve.
G'day, Damo. Welcome to another
going?
podcast, mate. Oh, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy. You?
I'm going all right, thanks, mate. It's
I'm glad.
we're all happy. What an exciting Spanish Grand Prix.
I
That's
know. I've recovered now, sort of.
what from the sleep in the middle where it got a little
Sleep
boring,
deprived.
and then just a little spicy bit at the end. Yeah, nice.
That was good.
Very good, very
It
good.
was.
Well, it did have all the drama. And yeah, I guess there's probably a couple of really big things. Obviously, Piastri had an incredible pole to win drive, so it was fantastic. And a 1-2, no doubt. A 1-2. How about
1-2 for
that?
the McLaren, but not for the way the Lando fans wanted, eh?
No.
And they certainly were butthurt throughout social media. There's a lot going around.
Still going today, and it's, 3-4 days later. So 3 days later. Speaking of meltdowns, Verstappen, we'll touch on that too. That there's a few moments that kind of led to a bit of a meltdown, and then
he's more mature now, Damo. He doesn't have meltdowns anymore.
Well, he did apologize. So, he didn't really apologize. He kind of said, yeah, it wasn't the right thing. So, we'll take that. That's an improvement. That's
apology.
Maturity.
Yeah, that's maturity. No, he didn't. Yeah, we'll get onto that a bit later. But that caused a big rift and divide down the center on old socials. Everyone lost their mind, including Nico Rosberg.
Indeed. That was Rosberg had a few good and mediocre takes on the weekend. Added some good value about when he was actually trackside and talking about what he was seeing from the cars and perhaps why that Red Bull is a handful, because it was like four-wheel sliding at different times, he said. Then had some super hot takes on disqualification, black flags and stuff like that. He was going crazy.
He was ready to throw everything at Maxi Boy and throw him out. But I think I don't know if a 10-second penalty was enough. I think a drive-through potentially would have been a more fitting penalty. But at the end of the day, they issued a 10-second penalty. You got to respect the fact that they've made that judgment call. And we saw the onboard today, Damo, because you sent it to me. Well, and I must confess it looked a lot better than what it did from external of the car.
It did. Well, I think we'll share that. I did bring that up so ready that we can have a look at that together when we talk about it, because I was certainly of the opinion that perhaps a drive-through was needed at the time. I didn't think a black flag was required. But you see the onboard, and it does paint a little bit of a different picture. So
it does.
Yes. But anyway, let's kick off, because Piastri, what a freaking weekend was that?
Piastri. Mate, that kid is absolute dynamite. And I will say this, going to 99.8% of your ability beats going to 100.2.
Yes, don't overdrive, son. Just get it done. And he just had this level of confidence the whole weekend. Just kept building, and was just every time would just deliver. Lando might step up a bit, and he just knocked that on the head straight away. It was a pleasure to watch as a Aussie and as a fan, not without the heartache and the anxiety.
No.
Late safety cars and stuff. It's never been fun for Oscar.
No.
So struggled a little bit, but in the end, happy days.
Yeah. Look, he did exactly what he needed to do when he needed to do it. Anytime that Lando tried to close the gap, or Max tried to close the gap, he would allow it come down to a certain point and then just extend it. And he drove a perfect race. That start, how good was it to hear the engineer, after he did his practice start, and he's like, all right, how is that? And his engineer's like, 1% here, blah, blah, blah. And they pull up, and then he just, lightning.
You just nailed it. It was such a good start. That was the first bit of I was just like, come on, yes. He's like, I've got a cover, and he's like, oh, hang on, I've got room. I'm going to go back over the other side and get a wider entry. And at that point,
he was flying, and he just it's just how you command a race, and I think he knew how important it was, and execution mint. Well done, Oscar. Congratulations. Back on top.
Done. Yeah, and it's obviously a slight increase in the championship lead, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And I guess that it's almost becoming a 2-horse race in the championship. Obviously, there was a bit of a gap that leads back, but it will be interesting to see how Lando responds and how Oscar responds, whether he can maintain just that confidence that he has, because another couple of rounds, I think we've said it before, and then like before Monaco, like a couple of rounds like this and Oscar's got it, and then Lando just had that Monaco one where Piastri wasn't quite 100% with the car, but definitely was back with a vengeance.
Well, I think you just have to, if you take Australia out, if that ends up just being a 1-2, Oscar's off into the distance at the moment. So that's something to keep in mind. I also had an interesting note that the tracks that he has struggled at so far, like in terms of last year compared to this year, he's won at. Yeah. So he has really put in the work to get everything right. Spain was one that he really struggled at last year and didn't have a good result. China was one that he struggled at, didn't have a good result. He's won at both those tracks now. And it's looking ominous. If he's not P1, he's P3 at this point. That seems to be the going rate at this time. But yes, I suppose what we should do is work out, because we were meant to have a change this on the weekend, Damo, whereby the McLarens were meant to be pulled back to the pack.
Oh, McLaren's cheating. They're cheating. They've got flexi wings. They've got brakes. They've got... Man, how nice was it just to see a little clap back to all those people on socials that couldn't quite comprehend it.
Oh, very quiet.
Didn't hear a peep out of them.
No.
I even tried on Instagram just to give a little bit of a send out to see what we got. Not one little cry or anything. Oh. Yeah, it was all very quiet. So I did put a love heart, I put flicks in the haters and then put a love heart. So I was trying to keep it, I still love you. It's okay, but jeepers. It was basically the FIA made the change, and it was just play on, just no different really for everyone.
It was pretty standard. Actually, you could argue the most affected was Yuki, and which is ironic, right? Because it was Red Bull that wanted these changes. And yet it's their second driver that suffers the most. Should we talk about Yuki?
Well, let's get on to Yuki, and then we can kind of segue across to the Max thing. So we'll go to the other Max thing.
Look, I don't think we're giving enough time to Piastri, but at the same time, I think the Yuki thing is very... when's Red Bull going to wake up? I put up a little... arguing or whatever on Facebook, wrote out what I think's sort of going on, and the fact that Red Bull really need to start looking in-house and how they're making this car now. But how are we here again? Plumb last. Like plumb last. Even if that car is off, it shouldn't be plumb last. I don't get it.
No. And it does just show, like, there are heaps of posts of, all the ex-drivers that Red Bull had burnt through. And it's like, come join us, Yuki. And,
I know.
It does make me feel like I do have to adjust. And I'll talk for me. I know you were pretty hard on Sergio as well. Yeah. But, I mean, like, to be frank and to say maybe we were just wrong, because Red Bull were masking it. But Yuki being plumb like, when I saw that, I was just like, right, this is disaster. you can't be that far behind. And the car is just, it's not working.
I don't think. Yes, maybe slightly harsh on Perez, but not by much. And here's my argument: Max was winning and comfortably winning when
true.
Sergio was 15th and last, right?
Yeah, it's fair call.
So for me, now we have a car that's third, fourth, somewhere there when Max is at his absolute 10 and 3/10 off. Let's not, cover this up. It's not like he's right there, really. And then you've got Yuki qualifying last. So it's probably a similar gap, I would say, between them. But it doesn't make sense to me. Why is this car so problematic to drive? And how many drivers is it going to take for Red Bull to go, we need to change. We need to bring this in. Max, you're very good at adapting. So you need to adapt to a car that's better aero balanced and maximize it so that we can be in the constructors race. Because right now, you're not winning in anything. You're not winning in the drivers' championship because suddenly the car's become a dog. And two, you're never going to get to the constructors the way it is.
No.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I think that's there's two, I think, really important questions that you raised there. And one is, when is the accountability piece for Red Bull going to happen?
Yeah.
And look, we probably won't ever hear it, but we might see changes in the car next year. And so that might be something that suddenly changes. But two is the Max Verstappen phenomenon, is that they've got to stop developing the car to be on that ragged edge that, in a wind tunnel, that the way Max likes the car is ultimately the perfect car, but it is too hard to drive. And it's always something that it's plagued the Red Bull, that they've always just developed further and further, pointing it further to the nose. And they've just got to a point where the way they've done it now is that no one else can drive the Red Bull. And what do you do if you're Isaac?
You don't take the seat.
Yeah, he must be freaking out. Please, please don't ask me. Don't ask me. I'm having such a good run right now. He
needs 1 to 2 years, probably at RB, and then he needs to find another seat. Unless Red Bull have a dramatic change next year with the way they go with things, you just don't want to go in there. It's absolute suicide. You look at Yuki, he was nabbing points consistently, with Hadjar at a similar level, just ahead on occasion. And I think Hadjar got the better of him on 1 or 2 before he switched across. And then
back of the grid.
Like, you can't say Yuki. But this is the first weekend that Yuki has said, we've thrown everything at it and I don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where Lawson got to at China.
Yep. That's where Lawson was. That's where others in that position, like, they've just been lost with that car. And it's definitely that's the end result, is that it's got the accountability has to roll up to Red Bull. Yep. And I think Isaac definitely doesn't need to change. I do ponder and think that if it was Yuki and Isaac in the racing balls, just where they would be in the championship, and I think that if those two had stayed in that seat, they probably would have finished ahead constructors wise of Red Bull. They were just on such a good run; they were going really well. And if that seat of Lawson had continued to drop and fall down and just be at the back, and they didn't make the change, it could have been that the sister team may have, for the first time, beaten them in the constructors. Yeah, look, it's highly probable. I mean, the only thing is, like, Lawson's starting to find his feet again, which is nice to see. Still not quite on Hadjar's level, and his racing prowess just needs a little tweak here and there. Just a little tweak.
it was better this race. He's still very aggressive, and I can see that he is trying to temper it a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's still having the odd one here and there. And look, the other thing with Lawson, I don't care what anyone says. Yes, he's had a couple little ins and outs. This is his first season.
Yeah.
You got to treat it that way because you don't have any consistent run in. So he's going to be learning just like Hadjar is, but I think Hadjar's marginally better in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say at this stage we should that'll be a fair statement. All right, let's go to his teammate now, and let's talk through what the hell went on there, because Supermax was not super. Had an absolute. The red mist descended and just cracked it. But let's talk about what led up to this.
Yeah, let's not talk about what led up to this. Can we just actually stop? Because I mean, Max has been smashed, and rightly so. But I just want to actually put in there that his original strategy before the safety car and his ability to drive that car on the absolute edge and give the McLaren something to think about was extraordinary.
Yep.
Can't take that away from him. However,
it's like the classic Max line, isn't it? Amazing. What a superstar. What a talent. But
his team need to get their shit together with the way they're interacting with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one, you put hards on. There's only two options. Now, I don't know how true this is, and I was meant to fact check it before I said it, but I'll just say it anyway. Apparently, and this is apparent, it's not guaranteed. Apparently, he had a set of softs that he'd done 8 laps on. That would have been a better choice than sticking those rock hard hards on.
Yeah, I remember you said that to me today, and you're like, I read that somewhere. I can't remember where.
Fact check it.
And if it was true, I agree. That was definitely. I guess what they indicated or what they were saying post race and everything was there was no other tires; they were all worn out. So, in that instance, you have to do a hard tire. You just had no choice. But, geez, I would not want to be in that engineering debrief.
No,
when Max finds out you had 8-lap-old softs.
Yeah,
he would have. The other thing is, what the hell?
Actually, I should have checked. I didn't check. What lap he actually pitted on, because it wasn't that long before the safety car came out. So he probably would have been better just to stay out.
He was deeper in. He was like at 9 or 10 laps, I think, on them already.
I don't think he was that far in.
Yeah, because he was about 6 or 7 laps deep before they started looking at the pit stop, and then that's when the safety car thing happened. So he was getting towards like that sort of 8-9 laps at a minimum, I'd say minimum. Yeah. So they were, and maybe they were the softs that someone thought they had because they saw possibly those ones. Maybe that was the 8-lappers. It's hard, I guess
hindsight's great, isn't it? No, you're right. Hindsight's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. I guess so. In the lead up, you had the hard tires, which there was a lot of people who had been in that position who were talking, old engineers and strategists who were saying they should have had that discussion. Okay, if we're all out of tires, if we have a late safety car, we're going to stick on the hards. So clearly they didn't have that conversation because Max was surprised by the tires. So that's sort of the first thing. So that was like, okay, if Max is always like 7 out of 10, that's probably got him to 8 straight away, right?
Yep.
Then you have the restart. He's angry about the tires. Has that massive tank slapper coming onto the straight.
Can we just? That's another thing to hold that tank slap.
Oh, bravo!
Anyone else is in the fence. I don't care who you are. That car is in the fence with anyone else.
I reckon him and Piastri. Piastri's caught a couple of tank slappers, but not many in the modern car catch them. And so I agree. And then obviously had a little bump with Leclerc.
That was a nothing.
I just thought it was just like they were just squeezing for room because Max was trying to push him shallow, and Leclerc, as he said in the cool down room, was trying to push across to keep the to get the slipstream.
Yeah.
And so happy days because it was done without DRS, right? They hadn't opened or released DRS, so he got in, drives past,
Max
and then there was a bit of a blow up on that one. But then old mate George Russell. So, the turn one incident. Give us your take on the bump that happened there.
Desperate move by Russell, loses back end, hits Max, forces Max off. Max has to come back on the track around the bollard, retakes the position, play on.
And I'm Max's engineer saying, you've got to redress. You've got to redress. No. What? Why? In what planet? When you look at the replays, he did his famous last dive on the brake, so his axles were ahead. And I think Russell tried to anticipate that, so he tried to go late as well, lost that back end, bumps him, and it's just like, we're basically clearing the decks. Everyone's made a mistake. Go back to your positions. I don't understand why that call came from the pit straight, which took Max to 8.5 or 9, right? When you heard that,
that was the catalyst. Like that was the complete problem, and this comes back to what I said, where they need to be very careful with how they're talking to him. I think even Nico made that comment. Not with them; it was actually with Lewis. With another thing, but
that was another bad thing. Yeah.
But it's literally down to how the engineer is conversing with the driver at that time, and to be able to read the play in the sense of, is this the right time to do it? Now, even if, and my personal opinion, right? So this, take it however you want, but even if Max was in the wrong in that instance, just keep driving. Don't even tell him. Don't even worry about it. Just keep driving, because Max would probably pull the 5 seconds that he would have been penalized for it.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it, because the Mercs were slow as.
Yeah, he would have done that. And as the FIA confirmed, they didn't review it. They didn't look into it. No. There was just like they reviewed the initial thing, noted. I think that's the terminology they used, noted. And then they went no further action. Like, so, it was just, another screw up from GP, his engineer. And then we got down to, turn 5, 6, I think it is, the left-hander. You're going down the hill.
Yep, turn 5.
Turn 5, left-hander. And it appeared that Max was giving up that position, correct? Certainly looked like that from the outside.
Just playing a game. The game was, I'll let you get halfway past, George, and then I'm retaking the spot. That was the game.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was right. I'll let you pass as soon as your axles are ahead of mine. I'm taking you back.
Yeah,
and then and maybe it's a good time to show the onboard.
Let's do that,
because from the outside, it did look like Max actually like unwound the steering wheel to bump and then go. That's what it appeared like the outside. That's what all the commentary and a lot of the rigmarole
was about.
It was all about. But so I've got this is a post, and this is from Romanian F1. So you can go check it out. Romanian F1. You can see it up here. And he's just talking about the onboards. Apparently, there's something in the system where they can only show one onboard at a time, which is why they didn't get the onboard for Max at any point, right? So this is Max at the bottom, and they show Russell ahead.
So he's turning.
So you can see, I don't know if I can pause. I'll make sure I try and get it. You can see here, if you're watching the next step, it's a definite late turn in. Okay, because you can see right here, George is on the outside, but yet he has commenced turning.
Yes.
Max has not. So, right, and you can see the front wing axles are ahead now. And then here, So George has turned in, expecting Max to be a little further over near the apex.
Yep.
And here you can just see that is basically understeer that's happening. He's got the wheel cranked. He should be going further left, and he's not. And then they basically collide wheels, and then he just goes and like turns a little bit more and goes on. So watch it once more. Turn in, understeer, bump, drive out.
Yep.
So, yeah, it is.
So seeing that, Damien.
Yeah.
Is he turning his car into a missile like some are making out?
Nope.
I didn't think so either. Right. I was as peeved as most people were on seeing the externals.
Yeah.
But once I saw that, I went, okay.
I can't believe.
This was a game, and this is why he only got a 10-second penalty. This was a game of, I'm going to let your axles ahead. George thinking that he was going to get let by, and then turning in for the apex without realizing that Max is actually going to fire back down. And then both of those things come together to cause a lovely little side bump.
Yes. So, and that onboard is clearly what they have used to kind of do part of the review. Because as we all saw, that outboard shot was kind of like helicopter or drone or something. It literally did appear that way. And that's why Rosberg got fired up and said, that needs to be a black flag. I would love for him to have seen now that they've released it, the onboard, and just maybe scale back a little bit, mate, because he got real fiery about it. And, sometimes you just need more of the picture, more data to understand what's happening. And, I've certainly softened where I sort of feel like 10 seconds was fine. 10 seconds was fine.
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, realistically, I think a drive-through I would have been happy with as well. Either of those two penalties seems fitting to me for that particular contact, because the contact wasn't deliberate in a sense, but it was deliberate in what he was doing, and he stuffed it. So then there has to be a penalty. I think it was right. I don't have too many problems with it. I do have a problem with people saying he was using his car as a missile and things like that, because that's just not the case. We've seen time and time again through the years past, Schumacher on Villeneuve using your car as a missile. Schumacher on Barrichello coming down the front straight of Hungaroring in 2010, where he almost put him in the fence. We have seen things that are using your car like a weapon almost. This was not one of those instances.
The Kvyat torpedo,
the Kvyat torpedo. There's so many.
We have seen it, and once you see that on board, I don't know how anybody can change it. It's probably something we should share on our socials just to wrap that up. So the more people that see that, hopefully, will kind of squash it.
Yeah,
and I hope that the commentary team use that to maybe simmer down some of what they've created, because it was a bit funky.
Can we? How much of this stuff is driven by the commentators these days? And I'm not putting this all on them, because obviously Max has done the deed. I'm not saying, but they do have accountability in this whole situation as well. Of what people actually perceive. And I think I'm getting over commentary telling people what should or shouldn't be a penalty, what should or shouldn't be right, how they should be driving, and all this. I think this needs to stop. They need to commentate on the race, and commentate on the fact that there's been an incident and everything else, but leave the actual adjudication to the people that are doing it. And then if you want to debate after the fact, whether you think it was more or less, absolutely. But at the time that it happens, do not comment on it other than to report exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah. And it would be easy to say, wow, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Let's, hopefully we get some more onboard shots that we can understand what happened. And I think it's always the same. And I think the commentary team, it was just because Rosberg, he's like
fine.
Villeneuve. He just always, loves dropping bombs.
I
But
can't deal with either of those two. But anyway, yeah, I love them, but I don't.
Yeah. The part that I don't like is the the Lazenby Simon, where he gets on his high horse. Yeah, he's like the host of the after, so when the race is
I haven't watched. Yeah, okay, I haven't really watched
Sky
too much
Sports, and and even some people have been praising Rachel Brooks, who I think again has failed in the questions. It was so accusatory, and it was like she was trying to get a fiery response, and I just feel like it would have been so much easier just to start with Max and just go, "Hey, would love to hear your side of it. What was your take on it?" And then look, Max would probably still comment the same, but he's not going to be as angry. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know why. They want the clicks, they want the eyeballs, they want the drama because it's big for them.
Yeah, Rachel Brooks' questioning, I didn't have too much of a drama with. She was trying to get a response. No. So I didn't have too many dramas with what she was doing. I don't think she was antagonizing. I think she was pretty level with it, but she did state, you got to, and this is true, that you got to think about it from a role model perspective for anyone who's coming through, that, it doesn't look good. And at the time it didn't. I totally agree. I think you are right in the sense that now that we have the onboard footage and everyone's had a time to actually go through it again, that their line should soften and they should actually say, upon review and seeing these, we actually think the Max was not as bad as first, like what we first witnessed. So we possibly went a little bit hard. So sorry for that, blah, blah, blah. But we're going off what we had at the time. And that'll be fine as well. I don't think we'll get that because I don't think media in particular are very good at taking any accountability for anything they do. They sort of just bat it and then play on. And look, I can do that. I'll typically take accountability if I'm wrong. I try to anyway. I like to think I do. But yeah, like media needs to be, I don't know. I've called for a long time that media needs to be regulated a little bit more in a sense, but I don't think there's a possibility of doing that. I mean, just look at us. We're sitting here yabbering. Now we're just a couple of people, punters, having a chat. But in some regards, we are media as well.
Yeah. We still, the people who watch that, we have to take some accountability, not to other people's actions or responses, but certainly into what we contribute to the greater discussion. Yeah. So
the greater good.
Anyway, let's move on from that now that we've gone past all the
the Max stuff.
Let's talk about some freaking amazing results. Nico Hulkenburg! How freaking good was that?
Where the fuck did he come from?
So happy with 6, and then when Max got his penalty,
5th.
Bangs up to 5th. Oh my goodness.
But not just that, Bortoletto had a cracking weekend as well because he qualified 12th, and okay, he was a bit unlucky in the last sort of run of how things played out, so he didn't get points. But Stake, I will say this right now, Stake F1 are starting to learn, and it's starting to look a little bit better. Right? Hopefully that continues into the next round and it's not just a once-off track. But they brought upgrades and the car suddenly came alive. That's good because they've got Audi next year and we're not that far away from that. So I've been looking and been saying for ages we need to see something from them because it's scary how bad Audi could be coming in if that's where they're at. But suddenly it looks like they might just have a little bit of a heartbeat.
Yeah, they definitely showed that just being very smart with the strategy They just got the right tyre. They played the safety car. Now, Bortoleto did get caught up the wrong way, but they did flip it and make sure Nico was covered. And, yeah, I mean, watching him pass Lewis was just like, oh, my goodness, heartbreaking and exhilarating.
It's amazing. I mean, Lewis had damage on his car, which we found out after the fact.
Yeah.
So that will be why his struggles happened. But I mean, the offset in tyre will help a lot as well, but you can't take away from Nico taking full advantage at the right time.
Yep.
Gets into the points. And it's such a good news story because the old guys get romped through all the time about not being good enough or losing their edge, so to speak. And it's just horseshit. Right?
I know.
These guys are absolute elite. And if you give Lewis a car, you give Hulk a car, you give Fernando the right car, you can't tell me they're not at the front fighting. They will be.
I know. Well, I mean, mate, Alonso, he got his first points of the season.
That guy is a train wreck.
He's just that was amazing, wasn't it?
He did everything he could to throw that away. I could not believe what I was seeing when he was going through the kitty litter. I was like, are you serious, mate?
I'm like, your home Grand Prix, you've been talking about how unlucky you are, and
then you threw it off the road.
But he got all that bad luck. Yeah, all that bad luck.
Back. Yeah.
The karma train pushed it
turned
to good
around.
Luck, and he's got his points.
He's going to get his 33rd win. Maybe not before Piastri gets his 33rd win, but
yeah. Look, we'll see how they go next year. I don't think it's happening this year. That's for sure.
No. I think they'll take points any day of the week. That they can at this stage. So they're definitely struggling. But no, it was good to see him fight back and get that sorry. What was he? Ninth or 8th? 10th. Oh, he was right at that.
Yeah.
I don't have it open in front of me. I could not remember.
You just got the 1 point, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. No, because Max. Hang on.
It must be 9th.
He got 9th. Yeah, because he was 10th.
So who came in?
Who came in? No, Max went to 10th.
Oh, Max went to 10th. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He dropped to 10th, and so everyone else just got pushed up. So
Yep. No, that's it.
So he had 1 point, but he actually ended up with 2. So
very
that was
good.
very, very good. And then again, just more success stories. But Isaac Hadjar,
he's an impressive
delivering.
He's an impressive kid. Like, the Melbourne thing is well gone now, and most don't remember that occurred. But he is ever since just delivering. I know he's had 1 or 2 here and there, but it's just so consistent. He's always banging on the Q3 door, if not in. And he's just delivering. And Lawson is starting to get there. Like, he's not that far away anymore, but it's still impressive that he's just able to keep punching this consistently in his first season. Well done, Isaiah. You've got my attention right now. I think you're doing a great job, unlike the other one in the Alpine seat that ousted somebody who was out qualifying Gasly.
Well, no. I mean, that is the question. Like, has the Colapinto has the Colapinto little project? Is it turning into a bit of a failure? You can't tell me
it's not good,
and it's not his fault. I'll just say it's right. These rookies, he had a go in the Williams, had great success, and I think what we do see is there is less pressure when they take that first seat. They can just go in. There's no real pressure on them. When they get the rookie seat, then it becomes a different game, and it's a bit more of a struggle, a bit more of the pressure. And then when you add on to it what's happened with Doohan having unnecessary pressure, and then they kick him out and they put in rotation Colapinto, and then he's in the same boat He's trying to get up to speed. He's got additional pressure. He can't just drive. It's chaos.
Yeah, it is. Environment is a big thing. And I'm sure many of us can attest to being in a workplace where the environment is wrong for you and how much of an impact that can have.
Yep.
And I can't stress this enough that I don't think the environment there is quite suited for rookies right now. And honestly, I think Colapinto should never have signed with them. I think Doohan should be still in that seat. And there should have just been a real relaxed time frame for him for the year to get up to speed. And I think he would have done a lot better. And I think we were starting to see before he got ripped out of the seat, pace that was there. And it just was going to take a smidge of time for those little quirks to iron out. And then they would have been probably scoring points. And now we've got this situation whereby Colapinto's at the back majority of the time, not looking like he can even engage in a race. And it's sad because Franco's not a dud driver. Neither is Jack. So again, it comes down to these teams. And it's funny that the two teams that put the most pressure on are the two teams that have problems.
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, the only worse environment I think than those is probably the Red Bull second seat, right? So, yeah,
unbelievable. Yeah, that seat is safer than anything else.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just funny. We've said it time and time again. I've called for it. A contract is given to a rookie; they should get the year, at least the first half of the year, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Give them something, let them work towards it. If you're not seeing anything in the data, then sure. But that wasn't the case. It's just, I don't know. Gets me fired up. Don't want to harp on it too long, but I think they've potentially screwed two people over already.
I agree. So let's lighten the mood a bit. And
I need to.
Just the last kind of thing before we head into predictions was the wanker's cramp or something. What happened to Stroll?
Oh, he's having a good wank and then cramped up. Need to get surgery.
In the car?
Somebody suggested that. Did you hear that? Yeah. There was somebody on X or something around were banging on about the fact that he was had to have a wank mid-race and all that kind of, oh God,
it's just like
it's too much.
I mean, that was a little left of field and untrue. There was really strong reports just post the race finishing, or towards the end of the race weekend, that there was something that happened in the garage that perhaps he was punching things or was angry. Seems like that's probably kind of squashed down and probably not as true, or it was so a bit over the top. So maybe he was just angry because of the poor quality that he had. But it's something's happened, and obviously he had that injury at the start of 2024, and it's obviously not been right for a while.
Yeah, so the team are reporting he started getting in trouble back in Saudi, and then it's just been there. It's obviously a niggle of some description. Yes, he was annoyed outside of Q2 for not being able to improve. But there is, he does go to the media pen, and there is an interview with him that you can see, and he's not angry or really fired up or anything like that. So I think the whole punching thing is probably there's no evidence of actually that happening, but apparently he went straight from that media pen to the medical center, and the medical center said, right, I think you need to get this done now rather than holding off and trying to drive through it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
gets Drago in the car.
Well, there was also those rumors because they were talking about the fact that he left it so late to avoid having someone else in the seat to show him up. I guess you can find a conspiracy theory anywhere, can't you?
You can get that tinfoil hat out and go nuts. It's a wonderful thing. I try it sometimes.
Do our best. Well, let's now kind of go into our little pit lane review, which is all about our predictions.
Yep.
And I'm just dominated. This was such a good weekend for predictions, mate. Let's just kick off with
what? Sorry, we've passed predictions. Got it.
Who predicted what? And then let's just show a little bit along the bottom. And
do we really need to? I don't think this is important, Damo.
So I picked Piastri for pole. Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you. Hold the applause. It's okay. I picked Piastri for the winner, but so did you. So well done.
Yes.
And then I picked Norris in second.
Uber safe by you. Yes.
Mate. Still more points than you. And you picked Verstappen. And none of us
and look,
picked.
I was on for that until the team screwed him over.
That's why you're dirty on them.
Yeah.
But then obviously Leclerc ended up in that third spot. So
yes.
Didn't quite get that third posse, but I did pretty well.
What's really annoying was my initial thought in this whole thing. I was going to go Piastri for pole as well. And I went, I won't. I think Verstappen will have with the changes. I got fooled by the changes. It's like maybe Verstappen will have the 1 lap pace. And I also thought about Ferrari for a split second in the third place. But I went, if Verstappen's in the play, then they're not going to get on the podium. Fooled again. Didn't predict that Verstappen would have an implosion. Or explosion.
Clearly not.
Both. So yes, well done, Damo. Everyone give him a round of applause because it only happens once a year for him.
Yep. Well, that is true because I have been rat shit just quietly. I have been so bad.
At some point, I'll actually tally up all these points and we'll work out where we're at. But I don't think either of us are doing great.
I'd rather you didn't, to be honest.
Find out that Damo's got 3 points and they're the 3 this weekend.
Correct.
No, predictions were pretty bad, but well, not too bad. Like if you get a point, you get a point. But you did well, Damien. So well done. Congratulations. All the rest.
Thank you. Bravo. Well, that kind of concludes our little review of the Spanish Grand Prix.
Yes.
What do we got next?
Canada's next, which is not this weekend, but the weekend after. So we get a little bit of a break, but we don't because we got to do supercars this week for the first time in a month, Damo.
Oh, I can't believe it. It feels like forever. But the next video will be on the supercar preview for the Bosch Power Tools Perth 440.
Yeah, another super sprint weekend.
So super sprint, still getting through those super sprints, and then we'll be almost at the end of them after this one.
Yes. Stay tuned for that, people. Stay tuned for that.
Yes,
that's coming.
And then we will have our preview for the Canada next week. I thought you
were going to say we're going to have a preview for my race at Calder.
Oh, you're racing Calder. That's right. Yes, indeed.
Get my little pulse. Well, not my pulsar. I get someone else's pulsar out and go racing. I am excited for it, and I'm slightly terrified. So the guy that actually signed off on me getting a racing license is racing that weekend in Mr. Nuddle's car. So Matt Thewlis, Thewlis. That's how you say it. It's Thewlis. Clearly, I'm having a trouble. But he's an actual. I'm having trouble. I am broken, as you can see at the end of this pod. But he'll be racing, and I've been told that he is a smidge aggressive in the old battles. So
okay,
it's a Pulsar v Pulsar setup. So we'll see if I can get anywhere near a semi-pro.
Wow, mate, I'm glad you finished that with pro. So
I'm not, mate, I am not Lance Stroll.
okay, right. What did Clarksy say? And on that bombshell,
and on that stroke,
on that stroke. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Keep in touch with us on the socials.
Yes,
the Valve
please
bounce
do. We're back
everywhere.
on X. Back on X. The Valve bounce. I fixed it. We're good. Don't ask what happened, but I'm back and I'll be posting. So look it up. The Valve bounce on X. You'll see it. I'll be talking this weekend about the supercars. So get on board and talk shit with me, and maybe Damo if I fix the email up as well. And yeah, we'll have some fun. And obviously Instagram and Facebook, get on it. We need more people there. I've done a couple of write-ups from last weekend and stuff. Just need some people jumping in and chatting. So please
That's it. Awesome. Well, Steve, we'll catch you in the next video.
We will. See you, Davo.